Did you know that the kind of fish you put on your plate could either help you stay strong or slowly weaken your muscles and bones? Many of us grew up believing that all fish is healthy, but the truth is not every type of fish is good for seniors, especially after age 60. In fact, researchers at Harvard found that some fish, because of the way they're raised or the chemicals they contain, may actually increase inflammation and speed up muscle loss, a condition called sarcopenia that affects nearly 1 in 3 adults over 60. Surprising, right? Something as simple as choosing the wrong fish at the grocery store could be quietly working against your health. Now, why does this matter so much for seniors? Well, strong muscles and bones aren't just about looking fit. They're what keep you independent, steady on your feet, and able to enjoy the things you love. A slip or fracture can take months to recover from, but the good news is, with the right choices, you can protect your body, even in your 72nd or 82nd. And here's something I really want you to hear. You are never too old to make a difference in your health. The body is amazingly resilient. Even small changes, like choosing one kind of fish over another, can bring real improvements in energy, strength, and joint comfort. The best part? You don't need expensive supplements, complicated diets, or anything fancy. Nature already provides what your body needs. By knowing which fish to avoid and which ones to enjoy, you can build stronger muscles, keep your bones solid, and feel more confident moving through your day. So, stay with me because in just a moment, I'll reveal the fish that many seniors unknowingly eat but should actually stay far away from. It's one of the most common choices in American kitchens, yet it could be silently weakening your body. I'll also share better, safer options you can add to your meals right away, so you can feel the difference for yourself. And before we dive in, a quick invitation. If you enjoy learning simple, natural ways to stay strong and independent, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next tip. And if you think a friend or family member could benefit from this, go ahead and share it with them too. Oh, and if you're watching this on your television, don't worry, you can use your phone or iPad to find our channel Healthy Seniors Plus and hit subscribe so you never miss these easy health tips. Number 1. Tilapia. The healthy fish that isn't so healthy after all. When most people think of fish, they immediately think healthy. And, to be fair, fish in general has a strong reputation for being good for the heart, high in protein, and supportive of brain health. That's why tilapia has become one of the most popular choices in the US. It's inexpensive, mild-tasting, and widely available in grocery stores and restaurants. In fact, according to the National Fisheries Institute, tilapia consistently ranks among the top 5 most consumed seafoods in America. For many families, it's the go-to budget fish because it costs much less than salmon, tuna, or halibut. But here's the truth that many people don't realize. Tilapia is one of the worst choices for seniors, especially for those over 60 who are working to protect muscle and bone health. On the surface, it looks like a smart, lean protein source. But when you look closer at how most tilapia is raised and what it actually contains, the picture changes dramatically. Why tilapia can harm muscle and bone health? Let's start with the fats. While fatty fish like salmon and sardines are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, the good fats that fight inflammation and support muscle recovery tilapia contains very little omega-3. Even worse, farm-raised tilapia is extremely high in omega-6 fatty acids. Now, our bodies do need omega-6 fats in small amounts, but the problem is balance. The modern American diet already contains too much omega-6, often from vegetable oils, processed foods, and fried snacks. When omega-6 levels climb too high compared to omega-3, it creates an inflammatory environment in the body. Why does this matter for seniors? Chronic inflammation is one of the hidden drivers of muscle loss, joint pain, and even bone thinning. According to a study published in the Journal of the American Dietetic Association, the ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 in farm tilapia is so skewed that eating it regularly can actually increase inflammation instead of reducing it. In fact, researchers at Wake Forest University concluded that the fatty acid profile of tilapia is worse than that of bacon. Imagine that, choosing tilapia thinking it's healthy, but it may have the same inflammatory effect as eating processed meat. Inflammation doesn't just cause sore joints, it weakens muscles, slows recovery, and reduces bone density over time. That's the exact opposite of what seniors need, especially when staying strong and independent is the goal. Farming practices and hidden toxins. Another big issue is how tilapia is raised. Nearly all tilapia in the U.S. is imported, often from large fish farms in China, Indonesia, or Latin America. While there are some responsible farms, many use crowded conditions, low-quality feed, and sometimes even banned chemicals or antibiotics to keep the fish alive. Because tilapia are often fed corn, soy, or even animal byproducts instead of their natural diet, the nutritional value drops even further. Worse, poor farming conditions increase the risk of contaminants, like heavy metals, or industrial pollutants ending up in the fish. Seniors, who may already have sensitive immune systems or be on medications, are more vulnerable to these hidden toxins. Long-term exposure to contaminants can affect everything from bone density to memory and heart health. But isn't it still protein? You might be wondering, well, even if it's not the best, at least tilapia is a source of protein, right? That's true, it does provide protein. But here's the catch. When the protein source comes packaged with inflammatory fats and possible contaminants, it cancels out much of the benefit. Seniors need high-quality protein that builds up muscle and bone, not one that tears them down behind the scenes. Choosing tilapia is like trying to save money by buying a cheap tool that breaks after a few uses. It looks like a bargain, but it ends up costing you more in the long run. Safer choices and what to do instead. Now, this doesn't mean you can never eat tilapia again. If it's the only option available at a family dinner or a restaurant, it won't destroy your health overnight. But as a regular part of your diet, it's best to look elsewhere. Here are a few tips to protect yourself. Limit tilapia to once in a while, certainly not weekly. Think of it as a backup fish, not a staple. Look for country of origin if you must buy tilapia. Choose U.S. farmed or Canadian tilapia, which usually have stricter regulations compared to imports from Asia. Balance with omega-3 rich fish for every serving of tilapia. Make sure you're eating more salmon, sardines, or mackerel to even out your fatty acid ratio. Watch for allergies or sensitivities, because tilapia may contain residues from feed or chemicals. If you notice bloating, stomach upset, or joint pain after eating it, that's your body sending you a message. Who should avoid tilapia the most? Seniors with arthritis or joint pain. The inflammatory fats can make symptoms worse. Anyone recovering from fractures or surgeries, you need strong omega-3 support for healing. Those with heart disease or high cholesterol, tilapia does little to protect your arteries and may worsen inflammation. People with weak immune systems due to higher contaminant risks in poorly farmed fish. Tilapia may look like a budget-friendly, healthy choice, but for seniors focused on muscle strength, bone health, and staying active, it's one of the worst fish you can put on your plate. Instead of fueling your body with the nutrients it needs, it may quietly drain your strength and increase inflammation. The good news? There are far better choices out there that taste great, don't cost a fortune, and actually support your health goals after 60. And in just a moment, we'll look at one of the best alternatives, a fish that's rich in the very nutrients your muscles and bones crave. Number 2. Farmed salmon. Not the same as wild salmon. When you hear the word salmon, you probably think of one of the healthiest foods on the planet, and in many cases that's true. Wild-caught salmon is one of the richest sources of omega-3 fatty acids, high-quality protein, vitamin D, and powerful antioxidants like astaxanthin. For seniors, wild salmon can be a muscle-building superstar, helping reduce inflammation, protect bones, and even sharpen memory. But here's where the story takes a turn. The type of salmon most people find in grocery stores or on restaurant menus isn't wild. It's farm-raised. In fact, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, about 90% of the salmon eaten in the United States is farmed, not wild. That means that when you think you're buying healthy salmon, there's a very high chance it came from a fish farm. And unfortunately, farmed salmon is not the same as wild salmon. Not even close. The problem with farmed salmon are raised in crowded pens in the ocean or in artificial tanks. Instead of swimming freely and eating their natural diet of smaller fish and plankton, they are fed processed pellets made from soy, corn, or other grains, sometimes mixed with fish meal and oils. This unnatural diet changes the nutritional value of the salmon in significant ways. Less omega-3 second, more omega-6 second. While wild salmon is packed with anti-inflammatory omega-3 fatty acids, farmed salmon often contains far less omega-3 and much higher levels of omega-6. That same imbalance we discussed with tilapia applies here. Too much omega-6 leads to inflammation, which damages muscles and weakens bones over time. Artificial coloring. Farmed salmon is naturally a grayish color because of its diet. To make it look appealing and pink like wild salmon, farmers add synthetic coloring to the feed. These additives aren't necessarily toxic, but they're a reminder that the fish is being artificially manipulated rather than naturally nutritious. Toxins and contaminants. Multiple studies, including one published in Science, 2004, found that farmed salmon contained significantly higher levels of harmful chemicals, such as PCBs, polychlorinated biphenyls, dioxins, and even pesticides compared to wild salmon. For seniors, who may already be taking medications and have more vulnerable immune systems, these toxins can add unnecessary stress to the body. Antibiotic use. In some countries, salmon farms rely heavily on antibiotics to control disease in crowded fish pens. Over time, this can contribute to antibiotic resistance, and trace amounts may remain in the fish you eat. Why this matters for seniors. At first glance, salmon seems like the ultimate healthy choice. But here's the key point. Farm-raised salmon doesn't provide the same benefits as wild salmon, and it may even work against your health goals. For seniors, muscle and bone strength depend on reducing inflammation, building lean protein, and supporting joint health. Farmed salmon's skewed fat profile and higher toxin levels can make it harder to maintain strong muscles and bones. Instead of helping you feel stronger and more energetic, it may leave you more vulnerable to stiffness, fatigue, and bone weakness over time. To put it simply, eating farmed salmon is a bit like buying a knockoff product. It looks the same on the outside, but when you dig deeper, it doesn't deliver the quality or results your body needs. But isn't salmon still protein? Yes, both wild and farmed salmon contain protein. But here's the difference. Protein isn't the only thing that matters. The package that protein comes in, the fats, vitamins, and minerals, determines how your body uses it. When the package is loaded with inflammatory omega-6 second and potential contaminants, the benefit of the protein gets canceled out. Think of it like this. If you hire a worker to fix your house, but he brings a bunch of termites with him, he's not really helping you even if he does a little good along the way. That's what farmed salmon does. It gives you some protein, but also delivers inflammation and toxins that quietly damage your strength. Tips for seniors who want to eat salmon safely. Choose wild-caught whenever possible. Look for labels that say wild-caught Alaskan salmon. This is the gold standard. Types include sockeye, coho, and king salmon. These varieties are nutrient-rich, anti-inflammatory, and much safer. Check the label carefully. If the package just says Atlantic salmon, it almost always means farm-raised. True wild Atlantic salmon is nearly extinct. Frozen can be fine. Don't worry if fresh wild salmon isn't available near you. Frozen wild salmon is still an excellent option, and it's often more affordable. Limit farmed salmon. If wild salmon is too expensive and you occasionally eat farmed salmon, it's not the end of the world. Just try to keep it occasional rather than a weekly habit. Balance with other omega-3 sources. Add more sardines, herring, or flaxseed, chia seeds to your diet to make up for the lack of omega-3 second in farmed fish. Who should avoid farmed salmon the most? Seniors with inflammatory conditions like arthritis, fibromyalgia, or autoimmune disorders. Those with osteoporosis or bone thinning because farmed salmon doesn't provide the bone-protecting omega-3 second and vitamin D found in wild varieties. Anyone with heart disease or high blood pressure, since contaminants in farmed salmon may increase cardiovascular risk. Cancer survivors, or those with weakened immune systems, due to the higher load of toxins and potential pollutants. Salmon can either be a superfood or a sneaky health risk. It all depends on whether it's wild or farmed. For seniors who want to stay strong, independent, and full of energy, wild salmon is a fantastic choice. But farm-raised salmon, which is what most people end up eating, simply doesn't deliver the same benefits and may even work against you by fueling inflammation and weakening your body over time. So the next time you see salmon on sale, take a closer look at the label. If it's wild-caught, great, you're doing your muscles and bones a big favor. But if it's farmed, you may want to think twice. And don't worry, we're not done yet. In just a moment, I'll reveal another extremely common fish that many seniors eat regularly, believing it's healthy, but that can actually rob your body of strength and leave your bones more fragile. This one might surprise you even more. Number 3. Catfish. Cheap and popular, but a risky catch. Catfish is one of those foods that feels comforting and familiar. For many families, especially in the South, fried catfish has been a dinner table staple for generations. It's mild in flavor, affordable, and available year-round in grocery stores, making it a popular choice for seniors who want a simple fish dish without spending too much. But here's the truth. While catfish might seem harmless, the way most catfish is raised today makes it a poor choice for seniors who want to protect muscle and bone health after 60. Like tilapia and farmed salmon, catfish is another example of a fish that looks healthy on the surface but may actually weaken your body over time. Why catfish isn't the best for seniors? Low in omega-3 second. Unlike salmon, sardines, or mackerel, catfish has very little omega-3 fatty acid. Omega-3 second are essential for reducing inflammation, supporting muscle recovery, and keeping bones strong. Without enough of them, your muscles may break down faster, and your joints may feel stiffer. Instead of being a muscle-building fish, catfish is closer to a protein-only option without the anti-inflammatory benefits. High in omega-6 second. Farm-raised catfish, which makes up most of what's sold in the U.S., tends to be higher in omega-6 fatty acids. As we've discussed, too much omega-6 leads to inflammation. That's bad news for anyone over 60, because inflammation is linked to sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss, arthritis, and osteoporosis, farming conditions. While the U.S. has stricter standards for farmed catfish compared to some other countries, much of the catfish in American supermarkets is imported from places like Vietnam or China. These imports are often raised in polluted waters, where fish may be exposed to harmful chemicals, heavy metals, or antibiotics. In fact, a report from the FDA found that imported catfish had one of the highest rates of contamination compared to other seafood. Cooking methods make it worse. To make matters worse, catfish is most commonly eaten fried. Frying not only adds unhealthy oils but also increases the omega-6 content even further. That's a double blow for seniors who need less inflammation, not more. Why this matters for muscle and bone health. When you're over 60, every meal counts. Your body processes nutrients differently than it did in your 22nd or 32nd. You need protein that supports muscle repair, fats that fight inflammation, and nutrients that protect bone density. Catfish provides protein, yes, but the lack of omega-3 second, the excess omega-6 second, and the potential toxins from farming make it a weak and even risky choice for seniors. Eating catfish regularly might not cause immediate harm, but over the years, the inflammation and nutrient gaps can add up. That means weaker muscles, more brittle bones, and greater risk of falls or fractures. Safe tips if you still enjoy catfish. Now, I know some of you may have grown up eating catfish and still enjoy it from time to time. The good news is You don't have to give it up completely if it's part of your family tradition. You just need to make some smart adjustments. Choose U.S. farmed catfish. American-raised catfish is generally safer and cleaner than imports. Look for labels that say, "Product of USA." Bake or grill instead of frying. This preserves more of the nutrients and avoids adding unhealthy oils. Eat it occasionally, not regularly. Think of catfish as an every-once-in-a-while treat, not a weekly protein source. Balance with omega-3 second. If you do eat catfish, make sure to include more omega-3 rich foods like salmon, sardines, chia seeds, or walnuts in your weekly diet. Who should avoid catfish the most? Seniors with joint pain or arthritis, because catfish's fatty acid profile may increase inflammation. Anyone with osteoporosis or a history of fractures since it doesn't support bone strength. Those with heart disease or high blood pressure due to higher risks of contaminants in imported catfish. People recovering from surgery or illness because the lack of omega-3 slows healing and muscle repair. Catfish may be familiar, affordable, and tasty. But for seniors who want to protect their muscles, bones, and independence, it's not the best choice. Low in omega-3 second, higher in omega-6 second, and often raised in questionable conditions, catfish doesn't provide the nutrients your body needs after 60. Instead of relying on catfish as a protein source, think of it as an occasional comfort food. And whenever possible, replace it with fish that truly fuel your strength and health. Stay with me, because next, we'll uncover another fish that many people think is safe, but it's actually one of the riskiest for seniors due to high mercury levels. This one is especially important to know about if you care about protecting your memory and keeping your bones strong. 4. Swordfish, a mercury, heavy danger for seniors. Swordfish is often seen as a fancy fish, something you might order at a nice restaurant or buy for a special occasion. It's firm, meaty, and has a bold flavor that many people enjoy. Because of its texture, some even call it the steak of the sea. But here's the problem. Swordfish is one of the highest mercury fish you can eat. And for seniors, mercury exposure can be especially harmful not only for brain and memory health, but also for bones, muscles, and overall energy. Why mercury is a serious concern? Mercury is a toxic heavy metal that builds up in large fish over time. Swordfish are long-living predators at the top of the food chain. That means they eat lots of smaller fish, and with every meal, the mercury in their prey accumulates in their bodies. By the time swordfish are fully grown, their mercury levels are extremely high. The FDA and EPA have both issued warnings about mercury in swordfish. In fact, they list swordfish as one of the top fish to completely avoid for children, pregnant women, and older adults. So what's the danger? Mercury doesn't just pass through the body, it can accumulate in tissues, especially in the brain, kidneys, and bones. Over time, even moderate exposure can lead to problems such as memory loss and cognitive decline. Mercury interferes with brain function and may increase the risk of dementia, muscle weakness, and tremors. Seniors already face natural muscle loss with age. Mercury can accelerate it. Bone health issues. Some studies suggest mercury exposure disrupts calcium balance, weakening bone structure, fatigue, and low energy. Mercury can stress the nervous system, making daily activities feel harder. Why? This matters for seniors. Over 60. After age 60, the body becomes less efficient at detoxifying and eliminating heavy metals. That means mercury can build up faster and linger longer. A younger person might tolerate occasional swordfish without much harm, but for seniors, the risks are multiplied. Think of your body as a bucket. When you're young, the bucket drains quickly so toxins don't stay long. But as you get older, the drain slows down. If you keep pouring mercury into the bucket, it overflows, and that overflow shows up as weakness, confusion, brittle bones, or constant fatigue. Isn't swordfish still protein? Yes, swordfish does contain protein and some nutrients like selenium, but the mercury content overshadows those benefits. It's a bit like eating food that's sprinkled with poison. You might get some nutrition, but the damage far outweighs the positives. For seniors focused on maintaining independence, protecting memory, and staying strong, swordfish is simply not worth the risk. Safer tips if you love steak-like fish. Some seniors enjoy swordfish because of its firm, meaty texture. If that's you, don't worry. There are safer options that give a similar eating experience without the mercury overload. Wild-caught salmon. Thick, hearty fillets with rich flavor and omega-3 second. Halibut. Another firm white fish, but with much lower mercury levels. Mahi-mahi. Still meaty and flavorful, with significantly less mercury than swordfish. And if you do eat fish often, balance your choices with smaller, oily fish like sardines, anchovies, or herring. These not only avoid mercury problems, but are some of the best omega-3 sources on Earth. Who should avoid swordfish the most? Seniors with memory concerns or family history of dementia. Anyone with arthritis, osteoporosis, or brittle bones. Mercury can worsen bone weakness. Those with kidney disease, since mercury places extra strain on the kidneys. People taking multiple medications because mercury can interact with liver detox pathways, complicating drug metabolism. Swordfish may look elegant on the plate, but it's one of the most dangerous choices for seniors trying to preserve muscle, bone, and brain health. The high mercury levels simply aren't worth the risk, especially when there are so many safer, delicious alternatives. Avoiding swordfish doesn't mean giving up flavorful, satisfying meals. It just means making smarter choices that keep your body strong, your memory sharp, and your independence intact. And speaking of mercury, swordfish isn't the only fish with this problem. In fact, the next one on our list is something many Americans eat weekly, sometimes even more. It's versatile, inexpensive, and often marketed as a healthy choice. But for seniors, it can quietly chip away at your muscle strength and bone health. You'll want to pay close attention to this one. Number 5. Tuna. The everyday fish that's not always safe. Tuna is everywhere. From canned tuna sandwiches to tuna steaks on the grill, it's one of the most widely consumed fish in the United States. In fact, the National Fisheries Institute reports that Americans eat hundreds of millions of pounds of tuna every year, making it a staple in many kitchens. It's easy to see why. Tuna is affordable, high in protein, low in fat, and convenient. For busy seniors or those on a budget, a can of tuna seems like the perfect solution. Quick, nutritious, and satisfying. But here's the catch. Not all tuna is safe, especially for seniors. Like swordfish, certain types of tuna contain dangerous levels of mercury, which can harm muscles, bones, and memory over time. The mercury problem in tuna. Tuna are large, long-living fish. The bigger the fish, the more mercury it accumulates in its body. That's why larger species of tuna, such as albacore, yellowfin, and especially bigeye and bluefin, can carry very high mercury levels. The FDA has repeatedly issued guidelines about tuna consumption, noting that seniors, children, and pregnant women should limit certain types of tuna. The concern is the same as with swordfish. Mercury doesn't leave the body easily. It builds up, interfering with your nervous system, your muscles, and even your bones. For seniors over 60, that means slower muscle recovery. Mercury damages cells and proteins, making it harder to stay strong. Bone weakness. Mercury interferes with calcium metabolism, which can accelerate bone loss. Memory and focus issues. Studies from the National Institutes of Health, NIH, link mercury exposure to cognitive decline. Constant fatigue. Mercury places a heavy burden on the nervous system, leaving you feeling drained. Isn't canned tuna still healthy? Yes and no. Canned tuna can be a good source of protein, but the type matters. Albacore, white tuna, higher in mercury. Seniors should limit this to no more than 1 serving per week. Skipjack, light tuna, much lower in mercury and generally safer. If you enjoy canned tuna, skipjack is the better option. Fresh tuna steaks, yellowfin, bigeye, bluefin. These can have mercury levels as high or higher than swordfish. For seniors, they're best avoided entirely. So, While tuna can be part of a senior-friendly diet, it requires smart choices and strict moderation. Safer tips for seniors who like tuna. Stick with light, canned tuna, skipjack. This is the lowest mercury variety and safest for regular use. Limit albacore tuna to once a week or less. Avoid tuna steaks from large species, yellowfin, big eye, bluefin, especially if you eat fish often. Mix it up. Don't rely on tuna as your only fish. Rotate with salmon, sardines, herring, or trout to get more omega-3 second without the mercury risks. Who should be most careful with tuna? Seniors with memory concerns or family history of dementia. Anyone with osteoporosis or fragile bones. People on multiple medications. Mercury makes detox pathways work harder. Those with fatigue or nerve pain. Mercury can worsen symptoms. Tuna is one of those foods that feels healthy, affordable, and safe. And in moderation, especially if you choose the right type, it can be. But for seniors who eat it too often, or who pick the wrong variety, tuna can quietly damage muscle, bone, and brain health through mercury exposure. The key is not to avoid tuna entirely, but to be selective and cautious. Choose skipjack light tuna, limit albacore, and avoid the larger species. And most importantly, don't depend on tuna as your primary source of fish protein. Because here's the uplifting part. While these top 5 fish to avoid can harm your body, there are plenty of better, safer, and more affordable choices out there. Fish that truly build muscle, protect your bones, and keep your memory sharp without hidden risks. And, in just a moment, we'll look at those healthier alternatives, the ones that will give you the strength and independence you deserve at any age. C. Real-life story. A few months ago, I spoke with a wonderful woman named Eleanor, a 72-year-old retired teacher from Ohio. Like many of us, she grew up hearing that fish is always healthy. For years, Eleanor's weekly meals included tilapia fillets from the supermarket and tuna salad sandwiches for lunch. She thought she was making smart, heart-healthy choices. But over time, Eleanor began to notice changes she couldn't quite explain. Her knees ached more often. She felt weaker after gardening. And sometimes, she struggled to remember small things like where she left her keys or what she went into the kitchen for. Her doctor mentioned age-related muscle loss, something called sarcopenia, and suggested more protein. That confused Eleanor after all. She was already eating fish almost every day. One afternoon, while watching videos about senior health, Eleanor learned the truth. Not all fish are created equal. Tilapia and farmed salmon, the ones she ate most often, weren't giving her the nutrients her body needed. Worse, the tuna she relied on for quick lunches was adding mercury that could affect both her memory and her bones. Instead of feeling discouraged, Eleanor decided to make a few small changes. She swapped her tilapia for wild-caught salmon once a week, added sardines on whole-grain crackers for lunch, and treated herself to grilled trout from her local market. Within 2 months, she began noticing a difference. Her energy improved, her knees felt less stiff, and she even joked that she didn't lose her glasses 5 times a day anymore. The best part? Eleanor didn't overhaul her entire diet or spend a fortune. She simply learned which fish to avoid and which ones to choose instead. Today, she says she feels more confident in her body, more steady on her feet, and more hopeful about enjoying her independence well into her 82nd. And Eleanor's story isn't unique. Many seniors discover that just a few smart swaps at the grocery store can make a big difference in muscle strength, bone health, and even memory. If she can do it without strict diets or expensive supplements, you can too. We've covered a lot today, and I hope you're feeling encouraged rather than overwhelmed. The simple truth is this: not all fish are the same. Some, like tilapia, farmed salmon, catfish, swordfish, and certain types of tuna, can quietly chip away at your muscle, bone, and memory health over time. But here's the good news: you have plenty of better options. By making just a few smart swaps, you can give your body the strength and nourishment it truly needs. Remember, change doesn't have to be big or complicated. You don't need fancy supplements or expensive diets. Start small. Maybe replace one tilapia dinner with wild salmon, or swap out a tuna sandwich for sardines on whole grain crackers. Over time, these little choices add up to stronger muscles, steadier bones, and a clearer mind. And please know you are never too old to see positive change. Even after 60, 70, or 80, your body is still capable of rebuilding, healing, and growing stronger. Every step counts, and you deserve to feel confident, active, and independent in your daily life. If you enjoyed this and want more simple, natural ways to stay strong and healthy, I'd love for you to join our community here. Subscribe for more practical tips to stay healthy, strong, and independent. And if you know a friend or family member who could use this encouragement, share this video with them. It might make their day. For those of you watching on your television, don't worry. You can always use your phone or iPad to find our channel, Healthy Seniors Plus, and hit subscribe so you never miss these helpful tips. Your health is in your hands, and every small step forward matters. Why not take that first step today? Your stronger, healthier future self will thank you.